So we're 2 weeks through the NFL season, and I decided I'm going to try doing power rankings this year. You give me some feedback. Let me know what you think of my power rankings. Let me know if you want me to do these every week or not, and we will go from there. Got to figure out the format of how I'm going to talk about things, so we'll just kind of fly into it. I'm going to start off with the 5 worst and then talk about the 5 best. To me right now, as I see it, you could throw a lot of teams into that 5 worst mix, but the teams I come up with, the Raiders, the Giants, the Lions, the Bills, the Cardinals. I feel pretty firm in that, pretty solid in that right now. You look at the Oakland Raiders. They've at least been competitive. They were competitive for a half and a little more against the Rams. They were competitive all day Sunday against the Broncos, but they're ultimately 0-2. Their defense still stinks. Derek Carr was really good in week 2. But they're an old team, they lack depth, and I think very quickly Raiders fans, if they don't already, are going to rue the day that this organization wasted $100 million on John Gruden, who, if I recall correctly, has a lower career winning percentage as a head coach than Jeff Fisher. Just think about that for a second. Would you give Jeff Fisher $100 million? Absolutely not. So why the hell would you give that much money to John Gruden? The New York Giants. I talked about it in the Week 2 recap. You've got Odell Beckham Jr., Evan Ingram, Saquon Barkley. How many teams would kill for that trio of skill players? And they're going to be totally squandered this year. That offensive line stinks again. You can spend money on it. It doesn't matter. They stink. You've still got Eric Flowers as a starting offensive lineman in this league for reasons that are unbeknownst to anybody with a brain. And Eli is bad and washed up. And he's shell-shocked because he knows the pressure's coming, so the first time he feels it, he's just going down. He's not even trying to fight through it anymore. He doesn't have the accuracy to overcome some of the other deficiencies. He lacks the footwork and mobility to be able to move in the pocket and extend plays. This is a bad Giants team, and they're playing like it right now. The Detroit Lions. You just had to fire Jim Caldwell, didn't you? Didn't you, Lions? You just had to fire Jim Caldwell. And Lions fans, don't say I didn't try to warn you. Be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. Matt Patricia absolutely sucks. And through 2 weeks, you can see that. They were better in week 2, but a loss is still a loss, and they've looked really bad both weeks. A lot of season left to go, I grant you, but do you really have faith and confidence that the Lions at 0-2 in the NFC have any shot at the playoffs now? You can already feel like their season is done. But I think by far the 2 worst teams in the league, and pretty much everybody can agree on this, would be the Buffalo Bills and the Arizona Cardinals. How funny does it feel to not have the Cleveland Browns be that worst team or that 1B worst team or that second worst team? They're not. They're 25th. And yeah, it seems crazy right now that I've got them ahead of the Seahawks, but frankly, I think they've played better than the Seahawks. And they might damn be a better all-around team. The Bills and the Cardinals are god-awful. They are battling it out for the first and second pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, which will be really interesting based off the way that draft is setting up, because it might not be quarterbacks that go 1-2, and the Bills and the Cardinals both drafted quarterbacks this year, so they won't be looking for another one. But as far as the Bills, how bad does it have to be that Vontae Davis would rather retire and leave over $800,000 on the table to not want to play for you anymore or play in the league at all anymore? Just think about how bad that is. You can talk about Vontae Davis this and Vontae Davis that, but the fact of the matter remains is the guy was so unhappy in Buffalo, he could see the writing on the wall and how long that season of suck was going to be for this team this year, that he deuced out at halftime and said, I don't even want to play anymore ever again. You've got Josh Allen in there now as your starting quarterback, so if nothing else, you got 14 games more to figure out what you might have or not have in him. But even in that case, I still don't think they're as bad as the Arizona Cardinals. At least the Bills have put some type of points on the board. At least they did in week 2. The Cardinals have 6 points through 2 weeks. And for a team with guys like Larry Fitzgerald, Chandler Jones, Patrick Peterson, you should not look that bad and be 0-2, but they are. Steve Wilkes is really staring down the barrel of one and done. And frankly, if he continues to trot out Sam Bradford as a starter, he fucking should be. I told you it was stupid to give Sam Bradford all that money, but people don't want to believe. Well, you believe now. It's still astounding to me that you have any rationale for not playing Josh Rosen at any point in time in week 2. And he must be the starter going forward. Because you're the Cardinals, you can already tell you suck. It's time to put in the kid that you traded up for to get at pick 10 and find out what the fuck he has. But right now, like the Bears have him up on the schedule next, everybody wants to see the Arizona Cardinals, especially Sam Bradford still starting, because they are terrible. Terrible. And for me, the worst team in the league right now. Now, when I look at the best of the best, you look at Tampa, they're number 7. I'm still not fully believing in them, but I'm completely caught up in Fitz magic. But they deserve a lot of props at 2-0 for beating the Saints and the Eagles the first 2 weeks. That's no small feat. The Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes has 10 touchdown passes through 2 weeks. They've beaten the Chargers and they've beaten the Steelers. That said, though, their defense is terrible. And that's why they're not higher on this list to me. Because part of this with the power rankings is a combination of how they've looked, how they've played, their record, and what their team looks like overall. The Chiefs can score points with anybody, but can they stop anybody is the real question. In terms of my top 5 teams, I'll go number 5, the Cincinnati Bengals. Just kind of under the radar, 2-0, playing pretty good football. Beat the Colts week 1. That win looks better when the Colts went on the road in a half-empty FedEx Field and beat the Redskins. And then they beat Joe Flacco and the Ravens on Thursday night when the Ravens were coming off that dominant week 1 victory over the Bills. You know, how much you really believe in them, I don't really know. But right now, the Bengals are 2-0, and they're playing somewhat decent football. Don't wait, Marvin Lewis will strike eventually. Number 4, the New England Patriots. Yes, they lost to the Jaguars, but they still have Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. It was one game. The Jaguars had revenge on the mind from last year's AFC Championship game. Doesn't matter if Miles Jack was down or not this time because they kicked that ass. But it's still the Patriots. It's still Brady. It's still Belichick, and they're number 4. Number 3, the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, they went on the road at Lambeau and tied on Sunday, but you can see what is a really, really good team. You can see a team that should be favored to go to the Super Bowl from the NFC or be on that list along with the Rams. They can do potentially everything. They got 2 really legit wide receivers in Diggs and Thielen. Dalvin Cook is healthy and looks good. That offensive line seems to be improved. The defense is top flight. And Kirk Cousins is playing really good football. If that continues, the Vikings probably win the Super Bowl this year. Or what happens, because they're the Vikings, they'll go to the NFC Championship game, have it at home, and find a way to choke. But yeah, the Vikings, even with them not winning, number 3 on this list. Number 2, the Jacksonville Jaguars, 2-0, beat the hell out of the Patriots on Sunday. If you've got Blake Bortles playing like this, the Jaguars can go to the Super Bowl. It's a really good defense, and they did it without Leonard Fournette, really, and that's crazy. I mean, we'll see. It's still early in the year, but this Jaguars team looks poised and primed to contend once again this year. But for my money right now, the number 1 team on my power rankings has to be the Los Angeles Rams. They're good. They're scary on both sides of the ball. They got an offense that can put points up on the board. They got a defense that can get after you with all types of stars. I think between Talib and Peters, they've only allowed like 35 or 40 yards receiving, I think it is, in 2 games. I think that's what it is. That's crazy. You got the Rams, a team that went all in this offseason, is playing like a team that is all in. They're playing like a team that wants to go to the Super Bowl. So after 2 weeks, the Rams have to be number 1 on my power rankings. So there you have it, my power rankings after week 2 of the 2018 NFL season. You can check out all positions 1 to 32 in the description box and let me know what you think. Who's your number 1 team? Who's your worst team in the NFL right now? Yeah, season's still early, so a lot of this can change, but here's how it is right now. Deal with it.